Today I'm taking on fake meat, that is the practice of selling products which might look like meat and usually have names taken from the meat world but are actually plant-based. Now have a look at these. Veggie sausages, black bean beetroot burger, slow roasted chicken, chicken-free satay. Here's savoury veggie mince. How about a tin of casserole mince in gravy? Or maybe a veggie burger, or perhaps beef-free beef ragu. And finally some hot dogs. First the names: sausages, burgers, chicken, mince, hot dogs. Question: if real meat is so terrible, why would you name an alternative product after something you criticise? And technically these products are incorrectly named as well. Now the dictionary definition of the word meat is a noun. It's the flesh of an animal, typically a mammal or bird, as food. I guess it's a lot like the world of flavoured water masquerading as milk. Perhaps the makers of these fake meat products simply lack the creativity, or maybe they're just too damn lazy to come up with their own name. And it's very easy to simply take a name, that is meat, and massage it with a so-called health message. I say so-called because when you examine what's in these products, that health message is questionable, to say the least. Some products have been processed to the nth degree. The original protein, usually soy flour, has been heated, diluted, heated again. Surely there can be little nutrition left after all that heat. And of course there are the additives needed to give the product the texture of meat, and then there's the thickeners and the flavours. But the doozy of all, and it's in a lot of these fake meat items, is sodium. Yep, good old sodium. I asked a Brisbane chef why there was so much sodium needed, and her reply was the sodium is added to give the fake meat taste, otherwise it would taste like corrugated cardboard. And how much sodium? Well, the sodium content ranges from just over 1,000 milligrams to a whopping 2,660 milligrams. In contrast, this 500-gram container of real meat has a mere 255 milligrams of sodium. The National Heart Foundation recommends an adult should consume a maximum of 2,000 milligrams of sodium per day. The American Heart Foundation is even more conservative, recommends a max of 1,500 milligrams of sodium. Of course, as we all know, excess sodium can cause high blood pressure, which is a considerable risk factor for heart disease. So there you have fake meat, a highly processed offering with a fake name and very debatable health claims. Now, nobody is disputing the right of anybody to make these products, but it beggars belief that anybody, let alone vegetarians, would go for this heavily processed product when some of the tastiest and healthy meals one can have come from vegetables, tofu, chickpeas, lentils, etc. Earlier I spoke with Don Mackay. He's chair of the Australian Red Meat Advisory Council. My first question: can the real meat industry crack down on fake meat pretending to be what it isn't?
Well, I think what we're trying to do is make sure that customers and consumers are given the right information. Meat comes from an animal slaughtered for the purposes of consumption. So these products, whether they be vegetable-based or grown in a laboratory, they're not meat. So we need to make sure that is done correctly. So we're approaching governments to ensure that we achieve that.
Would you get the governments to legislate the meaning of the word meat?
Well, certainly there is a description existing, and that description is well known. So from our point of view, we'll be talking to state and federal authorities to make sure that they follow up on what is already in existence. So we know what it means. We need to make sure that truth in labelling and all those various ways and means of ensuring that consumers are not misled are being properly monitored.
Some countries, France in particular, and the American state of Missouri, have legislated what the word beef, or rather what the word meat means. Would you like to see governments in this country go so far?
I'd like to talk to government about what can achieve what we want, which is to make sure that these products, there's nothing wrong with the products, but we need to make sure that consumers understand what they are, that the claims that are made about them in relation to the way they're produced or how clean or green they might be, that those are legitimate claims, and if that requires legislation, then we'll certainly be talking to governments about that.
So is the Red Meat Council concerned about that it might be confusing consumers, or just about the fact that they're stealing the name of meat?
I think, the sort of goodwill that's been built up over centuries with meat, it is what it is. People understand what that means. So we want to make sure they're not confused by it. Competition is not the issue for us. It's about making sure that it's a proper level playing field. We've seen it in other products, particularly in the wine industry, and other places where people want to make sure that consumers understand what it is. If it's from a geographic zone, then you can't use it elsewhere, such as we saw with the French in wine. So we've got to make sure that a consumer does absolutely understand what the product they're getting, where it's from, and what the claims in relation to that product, whether they're real or whether they're not.
Thanks for your time again on Landline.
My pleasure.